Report starts taking a look at the future. Let's talk about the Cowboys head coaching gig. Sir, you have the floor.
The Cowboys brass will spend today interviewing former Jets coach Robert Saleh. That is an in-person interview. He's had several head coach interviews. This is another one. They also, on Monday, are going to speak with Leslie Frazier, who currently works for the Seahawks, former Vikings head coach. That is in person as well. Meanwhile, yesterday, they spoke with Kellen Moore, considered to be a strong candidate in Dallas, the Eagles OC, and then my understanding is the Cowboys would like to speak to Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn and potentially OC Ben Johnson. Just have to wait until the Lions are done to make that happen. But that's not why you're having me on, right? You want me to talk about Dion,
yes,
right? Okay.
That's correct.
So let's talk about Dion, the Cowboys, and where.
Yeah. I mean, last week when we were on the air, Mike McCarthy had 48 more hours left on his contract. And you saw 3 12-win seasons before this injury-marred campaign that came on the heels of Dak and CeeDee Lamb signing long-term. Went down the tubes. Micah Parsons is next in line for that piece of pie in Dallas. That's the way we welcome you into hour number 2 of NFL Game Day morning here in this divisional playoff Saturday, presented by Intuit TurboTax. Isn't that great? Look at that, right, look at that right there. That's the landman right there in between Prime and Dak.
Oh, landman's good.
I love it. All right, guys. I mean, listen, if Prime wants it and Jerry wants it, that would put the Cowboys into the stratosphere of being talked about, which I know. Listen, I know that that's part and parcel of the reason for being in the Metroplex there, right? And so that's out there. And you heard the number of people that the Joneses are having, I imagine, into the Star today to have conversations. Who should be the next Cowboys head coach?
See that guy over there?
In the cowboy hat?
Yeah, you're gonna say, "Oh, Mooch, you're crazy because your friends and that's the Splash America's team." There are a lot of other good candidates, right? You'll talk about that. There's a lot of great candidates that Jerry can choose from. But let's just talk about. Some people think this is crazy because he has no head or no coaching experience in the NFL at all. But I will say this. He's coached a lot, Rich, for the culture in that locker room. And I'm not saying it's bad. Mike McCarthy did a heck of a job. But when Prime is in charge, he wants a certain kind of a way with his young men to be respectful to women and to the game and to respect things. And he teaches how to be a great human being. This would be awesome, all right? If Jerry says, hey, you know what? He's one of our own. He's one of our stars. We are America's team. Heck, he might bring fans from all over the country. But a little different than in college because he doesn't have the same, hey, transfer portal, 86 guys came into Colorado. You don't have that in the NFL. You recruit some free agents once in a while. Right. But I know that if he got the opportunity and they joined forces, this would be awesome to watch. He could do it.
I agree. I think it would be awesome. And we are all friends with Dion, but because of that, we got to see both sides of Dion Sanders. Is that so many people out there just see prime time and phenomenal personality that he has and the big personality that he can bring in every situation, which would be great for the Dallas Cowboys. But we also got to see Dion Sanders behind the scenes, the man that he is and how thoughtful he is and how much he prime time. And I'll throw in a dark horse is, Ian mentioned that they wanted to talk with Aaron Glenn. He was a former Cowboy. But I tell you what, the more that I hear him on different podcasts and in different interviews, I'm just overly impressed with the leader of men and how he goes about his job. And he's done a phenomenal job. You've talked about it, Coach. All the injuries they've had, and he continues to show up as the defensive coordinator for the #1 seed Lions. That I believe he has a great chance to become a head coach this cycle. And I think he would be a great head coach in Dallas.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn is a former Jet as well.
Right.
And I know he's interviewed there.
Yep.
Dion becoming a coach of the Cowboys would break the internet. Mm-hmm. It would break it in two. And you know how many shows talk about the Cowboys just because they are the Dallas, and how many of our colleagues like having fun at their expense or things of that nature. Dion would end a lot of that. He would also raise the stakes in a way that I don't know another head coach could do it. Because he's played for him and he is who he is. And the dynamic between him and Jerry Jones, that's the conversation a lot of people have, Gerald, is can you look the owner and general manager and the whole shebang right in the face and tell him something he doesn't want to hear and say, we need to do it my way and you need to trust me.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people think that's whoever that person is should be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think I know who that person is. You look at that picture of Jerry Jones, he looked like Thanos. His hand is up like he got the Infinity Gauntlet and all the Infinity Stones.
Yes.
And since we know he has that much power,
yes, sir,
he needs to use all the Infinity Stones and trade for Mike Tomlin. You said breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. Mike Tomlin is still a great coach, but you need somebody that can handle the pressure that comes with being a Dallas Cowboy, that have to deal with Jerry and to be able to say, hey, back up, man, let me do this. I got it. He has to handle Micah Parsons. He has to handle CeeDee Lamb. He has to handle Dak Prescott. These are superstar players. Mike Tomlin has dealt with superstar players, and he's handled it great if you ask me. If I'm Jerry, I use all of my power and try and get Mike Tomlin.
And he's a couple years younger than Andy Reid was when he left the state of Pennsylvania and found a new spot. And we could see, obviously, what's happened in Kansas City as he takes the field as a two-time defending Super Bowl champion with 3 rings now in his case. And a lot of folks are wondering if Mike Tomlin is thinking that way after 18 years, 19 years in Pittsburgh, if he's thinking that way. And I think other teams are wondering if he's thinking that way as well. Calling the Steelers to see if he's available for trade and if he'd want to go. And that question was posed of Mike Tomlin this very week. Hit it.
Understanding that you have your trade clause in your contract, what's your message to any team that may reach out to the Steelers to gauge interest or availability in your services?
I have no message. Save your time.
Which sounds like a message, though.
Sounds like Mike.
Yeah. I have no message. Save your time. Those are 6 words. The first 3 kind of, offset the other 3. But
if I'm a GM in any one of those jobs, I am going to entertain that thought because you got a proven guy who's never lost, right? Never had a losing season and could come in and take charge immediately. Let me go back to Dion.
Sure.
When we were doing this show together.
Yes.
Remember we had
having the time of our lives.
A lot of years.
Yes, sir.
He'd be texting guys like in the morning. And I go, what are you doing? He would be texting like 55 guys that are playing that day, just giving them some words of wisdom as a mentor. And he had that kind of relationship with players in the league. I mean, he would tell them anything. He would say, I need you to dress up a little better for that press conference. I mean, he would say anything to these guys, and everybody would listen to him. He's got that kind of respect.
And in terms of growing as a coach, before he started coaching, we would be watching games together. Right? Mm-hmm. We would be watching games together because we were going to do the highlight show later on. He would sit there, and when there was some bad football, he would be screaming at the screen, cut him. That he would be, if somebody had a terrible play or a boneheaded play, he would stand up and scream, cut him, and he would turn to you and he'd say, I'd cut him before he came back to the sideline.